Hey everyone, it's Christy from Green Tarot. Today I am here to film part 2 of my deck collection video series. So this will be the independent or indie produced tarot decks. I've already done the mass market, so these will be the indie tarot decks. Oracle decks will be in another video because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. So these are just independently produced decks. I think there's about 30 of them, so it's very similar to the amount I have in my mass market collection. So probably about 65 tarot decks in total, not too bad. I've pared it down quite a bit. We'll see today if I decide to rehome any, but I think I usually tend to hang on to the independent decks just because they're typically more pricey and sometimes they're out of print and you don't know if you're going to be able to get your hands on them again. So I usually hold on to the indie decks, I feel like, more than I hold on to the mass market ones, but we'll see. So get a snack, get a drink, and let's get into some indie tarot decks. Again, in no particular order, I'm just grabbing decks from the pile that I have. This is the Wandering Star Tarot by Kat Pierce. This actually was picked up mass market. I don't know who that one is published by, but I know it was picked up in mass market. But this is the independent edition. It comes with a pretty nice guidebook. It's full color. And there's about 1 page for each card, a 1-page write-up for each card. So it's a pretty decent guidebook that comes with it. This is a really beautifully produced deck. It would be helpful if I had the ribbon on the outside of this. It does come with this weird, like, styrofoamy insert that doesn't really work very well. The cards get stuck in the bottom over here like this, so that's cool. But not a big deal. But we're just going to leave those stuck in there because I don't feel like fighting with them for right now. So these are the backs. They're really nice backs. They have this gold foiling on it. There's kind of a gold foil accent all around. It is edged in this very nice gold gilding. But yeah, it's a standard tarot size, I guess. It's pretty much a standard tarot size. The cardstock is really nice. It's a matte cardstock. It's really nice. It's a really nicely produced deck. I'm not sure, like I said, what the mass market is like because I don't have it. So if anyone wants to comment below, if you have it, I don't know what the differences are, but this deck is really colorful. I don't think I have anything else really like this in my collection, like that's this colorful. The other thing about this deck is it has keywords on them. So there's keywords sort of scattered throughout the cards. So here it's the 5 of Wands and it says competition, debate, defense. So that's kind of nice if you're a beginner learning tarot for the first time. That could be really helpful to have some keywords directly in the cards. They're sort of hidden in there, so you have to sort of look for them, which kind of, makes you study the cards too a little bit. So this says strength, ambition, truth. It also says it on the other side. So here's a pet peeve that I have with this deck is that sometimes the keywords are repeated, which I don't understand. I don't think it needs to say honor, standards, wisdom, motivation, and then say it again on this side. I don't know. That's probably was just an artistic choice, a design choice, but to me it seems a little repetitive and not necessary. But this deck is very nice. Like I said, it's very colorful. It has lots of bright colors you can see, which is great. I haven't used this deck a ton. I did when I got it. And like I said, this is the independent version. I got this, it was a few years ago. It's probably about 2 years now. So it is very much based on, I feel like, Kat Pierce, the creator's life. Like it features her. I feel like she's featured in the deck. So it's like a very self-reflective deck, I feel like, for her. But it's I really like it. I like sort of the bohemian feeling of it, and I like the bright colors. It's very, the people featured in the deck seem to be very young. So again, it's kind of like the light seers in that way. So this might be a great deck for someone in their late teens, early 20s, because I feel like those are the ages that are represented in the cards. But yeah, it's a really pretty deck. I happen to be a huge Florence and the Machine fan, and this one definitely reminds me of her. So that's kind of cool because I'm a huge fan of hers. I've listened to her music forever. You know, Florence Welch, she wrote a book of poetry, and with her lyrics, it's just, I really adore her. So this card really reminds me of her. So, but this is a really pretty nicely produced deck. It's a nice Rider-Waite Smith clone, and like I said, it's available mass market, which is cool. So you can kind of check that out if you don't have the indie version and you're kind of interested in it. So that's the Wandering Star Tarot. Next up is the Dark Mansion Tarot. Very popular, very familiar deck. This is by Tarotdeckcollection Studios. It comes in this very nice hinged box that opens this way. This is the regular edition. I believe it's like there's several editions. There's also several choices. So there was a choice between like the brown backs and then the blue. So I chose the blue. I really like it. It definitely has it's that rose petal finish. You either sort of love it or you hate it. Like I said, I like having decks that are different texturally and like tactily. So I do like having decks with different types of cardstock. So this is definitely like rose petal. It's very soft. It's edged in black matte, which I love. I think is perfect for this deck. Just for the theme of this deck, it goes really well having it edged. It is pretty sticky because of the rose petal, you know, finish on it. But this deck is very well known, very popular. I do love it. Again, it's probably the only one of its kind in my collection. I don't really have anything else like this because I don't feel like there's a need to have anything else. I feel like this is sort of the standard for me in this type of artwork. You know, I know a lot of people sort of reference Tim Burton. It reminds them of, you know, of Tim Burton and his art style and how he creates. It definitely has that Victorian Gothic type of feel, but in a very quirky type of way. The cards do stick, so it's really hard to flip through them. I'm trying, but they do tend to stick together. So you're definitely not going to be able to fan this out. This is not one of those decks that you can prettily like fan across a table. No way. It's completely sticks together, but it is very charming. I think it has a very specific type of charm, this deck. And like I said, it's very whimsical, but it's also a little creepy, a little weird. It definitely has Corpse Bride type feelings, I think, like that type of energy. But I love this deck. It's great. It'll never leave my collection. You know, I don't use it often, but when I'm in the mood, I really do, you know, I do go for this deck, and I don't think there's anything that could ever take its place. So that is the Dark Mansion Tarot by Tarotdeckcollection Studios. This is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. This is the second edition by M. Wotherspoon. So this is an art deck that is based on the work of an artist, Odilon Redon. And so this is pre-existing art that's been chosen for the deck. So this is the guidebook. It does come with this guidebook. It's pretty, it doesn't have any images. It's pretty straightforward, just a little bit of a write-up. But it does give you a nice insight into the art and what the art, like what you're looking at and how that sort of relates to the meanings of the cards, which is nice. It has a really nice cardstock. It's a linen cardstock, but it's a nice linen. It doesn't have that chunky linen texture, that really, really over textured linen. It's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, I don't know. It's a nice linen. It's like a satiny linen. I don't know. I don't even know if that's like, I don't know what I'm saying, but it's sort of like a satiny linen finish. It might not even be linen. Like, honestly, it feels like it is. You know, it's definitely linen, but it's just, I don't know. It's a fine gauge linen, as if we're talking about clothing or fabric. But this deck is awesome. Yeah, this one definitely, as soon as I kind of saw it, it came out in the second edition because I like the backs on this one a little bit better than the first edition. But this is really, this deck is really special. I don't really have anything like it. It's probably the first deck that I got that sort of had this abstract, you know, or just that used pre-existing excuse me, artwork. I don't think I had anything else like before this. I love this Fool. So it's a very interesting deck. It's definitely not traditional. It doesn't follow Rider-Waite-Smith. This is definitely not a traditional tarot in any way, shape, or form. It's very unique. So it definitely encourages you to use your intuition. It does have extra cards. This is Ancestors, so there are some extra cards in the deck, which I keep shuffled in because I think it just adds a really nice layer. Because it's so non-traditional, the extra cards don't really throw off the deck because it's not really following any system. So, but it's a great deck. Here's the Shadow card. So yeah, this one definitely, you know, it encourages you and to use your intuition. So yeah, you're definitely using your intuition with this deck. It's really nice. It's a really nice deck. I can't really say anything else about it other than that it's so unique, and I don't have a lot in my collection. This was, you know, my sort of stepping into decks that challenge me, but that have artwork that really speak to me. Yeah, so this deck is definitely one of those. So this is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 2nd edition. So let's go in the completely opposite direction now, and this is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot by Pamela Chen. So this is very much just a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, featuring unicorns. So this is definitely one of those decks that's super whimsical and fun. And, you know, I don't have many in my tarot library, but this one is super fun. And it's just strictly, literally a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. It's one of the only unicorn decks that I have. But like I said, it's just good fun. These are the backs. They're so pretty with all the pinks, and it's really nice matte cardstock. They're like a standard tarot size. But yeah, this is a really fun deck and like whimsical, and just kind of brings me back to my childhood. I loved unicorns as a child. I had unicorn, like books about unicorns and stickers, and I just was a unicorn type of kid. I loved unicorns. So yeah, so this deck just sort of brings me back to my childhood. It, you know, how could it not with like all these fun colors? But I love how it's just basically the Rider-Waite-Smith, you know, featuring unicorns instead of humans. Like here we have a rainbow heart being pierced, you know, by the 3 of Swords. So I just love how they just sort of been put into these situations. But yeah, this one definitely, like when I saw it coming out, and I definitely jumped on this one as it being a unicorn deck. I haven't really been tempted by other ones, but I do like this one just because it's super fun, and it's fun to definitely get out in the spring. It has such springy colors and bright colors and flowers, and I love the font. It's got sort of that hand lettering font. So I do love it. It's really fun. It's definitely awesome. It's got crystals in it, hence the name Crystal Unicorn. So there's a crystal. So yeah, this is a really fun one. Just when I want to get back in touch with my younger self when I was a kid, and I just want to have fun with unicorns. Look at this strength card. Look at the way the lion's looking at the unicorn. Almost like, yes, I'm a fierce lion, but you are a magical unicorn. So yeah, so I love this deck. It's awesome. This is the Crystal Unicorn Tarot by Pamela Chen. So fun. Okay, so let's go back completely the other way again to the more serious tarot decks. And here is Pagan Otherworlds by Usi. This is another one of those very well-known decks that tarot enthusiasts have been using for a very long time. It's a really beautiful, it's a very beautiful deck. I love the backs on this. It comes in this tuck box. So yeah, so it's pretty standard in terms of that, but this deck is just, it's just one of those, you know, beloved. I feel like, again, this is one that you either sort of love or hate. A lot of people have this in their collection and don't use it. They just sort of have it because it's I feel like it's considered one of those sort of like gold standard. decks. But yeah, the cardstock is really nice. It is a linen cardstock. Again, it's a nice soft linen, satiny linen. It's very slippery, and it's a little larger than standard tarot size. I'm trying to think what I have. I have Terra Volatile here. So yeah, it's definitely larger than your standard tarot. So it is very hard to handle. I have small hands. It does tend to fly all over the place when I shuffle it. But this one is just, it's just gorgeous. The colors, the aesthetic of it, it just reminds me of like an antique library. Just these colors, like the flowers, this pattern, it just reminds me of like wallpaper in like a house, like a manor house, or like a cot. Like it's so rich and luxurious. It is a pip deck. It's pippish. It's definitely one of the, few pip decks I own. But this deck is really great, has been instrumental for me as I dive into the Ancestor work that I started. I started using this for that last year, and it's been really instrumental in that practice for me. And I'll probably film a video as I'm diving deeper into that work about the decks that I use in that respect and why. And as I have, like I said, done the research into my own genealogy and ancestry, this one is definitely is filling a very specific spot in that work that I'm doing. So, and this, deck comes with, there's extra cards that come with this deck, but this is a classic. It will never leave my collection. I think it's just absolutely beautiful and really special. And I don't think that there's any, a lot out there that's like this. So yeah, so that is the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot by Usi. So here we have another favorite of mine, the Forhaxa Tarot. Pretty sure I've had this in a few different videos on my channel. This is the independent version. I know that it's coming out mass market. This might be one of those that I do end up purchasing in the mass market edition. So here's the guidebook. There's no images, but it's a really lovely guidebook. It reads like a story. You want to get to know the figures and the fairies, the energy that's in each card image. MJ Cullinane goes into sort of who they are and what they're doing and how they relate. So it's actually a really awesome guidebook. So I may get the mass market in the hopes that the cardstock is different. I think I shared several times about how gigantic and slippery this deck is, so I don't really need to talk about it anymore, but I was really disappointed when I got it because I really thought that it was on matte cardstock. Don't ask me why I thought it was, but I did. But this is a gorgeous deck, and I cannot wait to see if they put it on some matte cardstock, because I feel like I will be all about that. Don't get me wrong, the cardstock doesn't really do anything bad to the image. I mean, the images are great. This is a beautiful deck. It is a marvelous fairy, fae energy deck. So earthy, just, it's gorgeous. This is a gorgeous deck. But like I said, the cardstock is definitely something that is super, super slippery. And I hope that with the mass market, which I believe is being done by Hay House, we get some nice matte Hay House cardstock. But this deck is absolutely gorgeous. I adore it. I love it. It's amazing. It's definitely, one of my favorite decks. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing how the mass market plays out. But this is the independent version. If you like this sort of satiny, like very... It's not that it's shiny. It's not really glossy. Like, it's not really. It's more just like satin, like satiny, but it's so slippery. But if you like that, if that's something, like, you can fan this deck and it's like amazing. It looks gorgeous. But so if you like fanning, like, this is definitely one that's going to work for you. But for me, who has a little bit on the smaller size hands, trying to shuffle this thing is pretty fun. Like I said, it's sort of like, 52 card pickup. They just fly everywhere. Which some people read cards that way, just, half the deck jumps out, so I'm not sure how I would read like that because they just fly everywhere. But this is the Forhaxa Tarot by MJ Cullinane, the independent edition. Highly looking forward to the mass market. But see, you can fan this like nobody's business. And here we have a super fun one, the Lazy Crow Tarot. This is by Nicholas Crago. I believe this is still available on his Etsy. Maybe, but his Nicholas Crago. I think, like I said, I think it's still available. This is a really, really fun deck. Lazy Crow. I've had this for a long time. I don't ever hear a lot about it, especially back then when I first got it. I didn't hear a lot about it, but this is really fun. So this is a traditional, I don't want to say traditional, but it's an RWS, so it's very much based in the Rider-Waite Smith. But the artist sort of created this using as little lines as possible. So basically just enough drawing and lines to get the meaning across, to get the point across, the traditional RWS, you know, imagery across. So it's really fun. It's really quirky. The cardstock is nice. It's just sort of like to me, it feels like make playing cards like Superior Smooth. So it's a pretty, you know, it's nice. It's easy to shuffle. So I have no complaints about the cardstock, but yeah, this deck is super fun and cool. I love it. You know, it's very cheeky. I love the faces, sometimes like the absence of faces on them, because again, you know, used as little line as we possibly could to draw these. So if we didn't really need to get a lot of facial features in there, then they're not included. Like this literally just has an eye hole. Like there's no eyeball. It's just a circle for an eye. It like sort of, I think I love this deck so much because it sort of reminds me of how I draw. I have no artistic ability. I can't draw. And like, this is basically like way, 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 way better art than I could ever do. But it's like, I literally just, you know, stick figures. Like they don't have bodies. Like there's no depth, you know, to anything that I could draw. So I think that I connect to this deck like that because it reminds me of how I have no artistic ability, but it's so fun and it's just playful and cute and quirky, and I love this deck. So this is the Lazy Crow Tarot by Nicholas Crago. It's an awesome deck. Check it out. I hope it's still available because more people need to get it. Here we have Le Tarot du Marseille Waite, or like the Marseille Waite Tarot, Emmanuel Eiger, Alice Laverty. So this deck is, I got it on Amazon. I included it in the independent, I included it in this independent category because I don't know how readily available this is. I think I didn't get it on Amazon. I got this off Etsy. So I definitely consider this an independent deck. I don't think it's widely available. The guidebook that comes with it is very basic. It comes in, I think it's French. Yeah, French and English. But it's very basic. It's a very basic guidebook because this deck is literally a Rider-Waite Smith. It's definitely the Rider-Waite Smith system, but it has the sort of Marseille style, art style, and colorings, which I love. I don't read Marseille. I don't read pips. So this deck is a dream come true because I love the sort of medieval feeling of the Marseille and sort of that, you know, medieval type style art but in a Rider-Waite Smith system. So I love this sort of mashup. I love the backs. The cardstock is really nice. It's again, like, feels like the US Games cardstock, like the Superior Smooth. It's pretty much standard tarot size, but it's basically exactly sort of what the name of the deck is that it's sort of a mashup of the Marseille and the Rider-Waite Smith. The titles are in French. I can read French. I can speak a little French, so that definitely is not something that would deter me from using this deck. If you know the numbers of the cards, you're fine. You know, you don't need to know how to read or speak French, but I do love this deck. This is like I said, I love the colors, the medieval feeling, that Marseille feeling without the pips, you know, without the pippish nature of the Marseille. So this is right up my alley as a Rider-Waite Smith, you know, person. I absolutely love this deck. It's really nice. Again, I've been using it in a way for ancestor work. So this is another one that I've been using in that way, sort of as the time, ancestors of time, which comes from the Ancestral Tarot book that I'm using, that I'm working with right now, by Nancy Hendrickson. So yeah, so like ancestors of time, you know, this is definitely a specific time period, but I love it. It's so easy to read because it is a Rider-Waite-Smith, you know, a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. It's your standard, but I love the colorations, the deep jewel tones, that medieval feeling. I love it. This is an amazing deck. So this is the Tarot de Marseille Waite. So here's the Black Violet Tarot, the Cherry Blossom Edition by Heidi Phelps. I've spoken about this deck a lot. I have a walkthrough for an unboxing of this deck. It comes with a little guidebook. No images, so it's a pretty standard guidebook. But I love the color of this deck. It's sort of minimal. Look at the inside. Inside of the box is amazing. So it's sort of it's a very minimal color palette. This deck I put it back in order because this is one of the decks that I also chose for my 12 decks for this year. So I'll link up in the cards, the link to that video, my 2023 decks. So this is one that I'm focusing on using. These are the backs. It's really pretty. It's this really pretty soft pinkish color. This is sort of what drew me to it. Let's start this way so we can see the majors. But it's a really nice cardstock. It's a matte cardstock, standard tarot size. This deck is super witchy to me. It's got a really witchy sort of goth vibe, but it's also like has this like badass rock and roll vibe too. I don't know. I love this deck. I immediately, when I saw it in this cherry blossom, I was like, this is the one I need to get. I wasn't really drawn to the one that was sort of like that creamish color, like just like the cream and black, but this black and pink, something about it. Again, I don't even like pink. I'm not a pink person, but this is a badass deck. And I really look forward to getting to know it more, to doing readings with it, to kind of going deeper with it, because I think it's really special. I've talked about, like, I love the movement, like in a lot of these cards, like you can feel the movement just by the way she created like the hair flowing, you know, behind the figures in the card. I really like this. I like sort of the weird aspects in it. It's quirky, but it definitely works. And I think it's going to give powerful readings. The ones I've done so far with it have been really great and really spot on. And like I said, as someone who identifies as a witch, you know, it has a very witchy, like this card, it just looks like Maleficent with that headpiece on. I mean, she's dragging people behind her. If anyone watched The Walking Dead and like, remember when Michonne had those walkers like on chains, this definitely like, that gives me Michonne vibes, you know, which is totally badass, like I said. So this deck is amazing. Heidi Phelps, I believe I feel like she just put up on Kickstarter. I feel like I saw a new edition of this deck. Definitely check it out. I feel like any edition is amazing. This is just the one that, you know, really spoke to me, was this Cherry Blossom edition. So Black Violet Cherry Blossom edition. Next up is the Star Seeker Tarot by Nikki Ferrata. She goes by the Van Mystic on Instagram. So this deck comes in this nice hinged box. This is another one of my 2023 decks. So this is one that I'm going to be really focusing on this year. It comes with a standard, you know, little white book. But this deck is really pretty. The purples, I don't have a lot of purple decks, like I said. This deck is awesome. It's got a rose petal finish, so it's a little sticky, but not too bad. You can still sort of fan it. The way that I typically shuffle cards and pick cards for tarot spreads is I shuffle them back and forth between my hands like this, and then I pick the cards. So it does that, you know, it definitely works that way, but it is a rose petal, but it's really nice finish. It's purple. All these like different hues of purple are really nice. But this deck is beautiful. I love the artwork. She's creating an oracle, to go with it, which I will be all over. She's creating a Star Seeker Oracle. I've been following the creation of that. I'll link her Instagram. I'll try to remember in the description box because I'm all over that. I will definitely be getting that. It looks amazing. It's going to pair so beautifully, obviously, with this deck. But this deck is really beautiful. It's, to me, it gives really deep, meaningful, insightful, introspective readings, which is typically the way I use tarot. So yeah, so it definitely has a little bit of a cosmic vibe, but it's also very grounded and earthy. And that's amazing for a deck, I think, to be able to capture both of those sort of otherworldly, cosmic, sort of outer space, you know, type vibes, but staying grounded and earthy. So it's one of the reasons I love this deck, because it captures both of those energies really beautifully. So yeah, so this is a beautiful deck. This is one of my 2023 decks. Definitely will be, you know, focusing more on using it. I've been using it in the month of February. But yeah, it's a beautiful deck. And I really look forward to getting to know it even better. I do like the cardstock. It's different than, you know, some others that I have. So I like the rose petal. Again, nice to have tactily different experiences with decks. But that is the Star Seeker Tarot. And that is by Nikki Ferrata. So this is the Incidental Tarot, and I do apologize because this deck is out of print. But this deck is really special and unique. It's by Holly DeFount. And this deck came out of a daily like art making challenge that she went through. So it says an original tarot deck born of 365 days of art. So this is really special because she did a painting or a piece of art every day to create this deck. It has a really unique energy. I do have it put back in order. I don't really use this much. I consider this more of a collector's sort of piece because it is out of print, and I actually happened to get the last deck. She did 1,000 print run, and I was the last person to get it. And she wrote me this beautiful note, you know, about how this was the last deck that she had. And it was, you know, I was the one that got the last copy. So it's really special. This is really special to me. I actually learned about this, this deck on Dawn Michelle's channel, Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot. She's Dawn Michelle. So yeah, so I learned about this deck through her, and I'm so happy that I have a copy of it. It's really special. I did get it. I got it during very early days of the pandemic. We were in, you know, just in lockdown. It was really a really uncertain time, and I received this, you know, and it was just such a nice thing to get at a really uncertain time. So it's a little bit it's a different size than standard tarot. So it's like a little bit of a different shape. It's the same height, it's just wider. So it's a little bit like more like oracle, like maybe like an oracle size, but the backs are beautiful. I love like this orangey sort of color. I love it. So it is in order. It is a beautiful deck. And like I said, I tend to not use it just because I think it's too special. So I get a little precious with this. But I don't want anything to happen to it. And I feel like I like to keep it. I want to keep it in its, you know, in a good condition, but it's really, really beautiful. I mean, I fell in love with it when I saw it, on Dawn Michelle's channel. But it has a very storybook feel with the borders and the font. It's like, it looks almost like stained glass, but it reminds me of like, sort of like one of those like fairy tale books, you know, a Once Upon a Time, you know, type book that you open to, and like, these are the images that you come to. Some of the card titles are renamed. But yeah, it's a really beautiful special deck. I think the first video I ever filmed on YouTube was just a silent flip through of this deck. And then I never filmed anything again for like years, I think, after that, because I was just mortified, and I didn't even speak on the video. So, I've definitely come, you know, a long way since then, thankfully, but I really love this deck. it holds a really special place in my tarot library, in my collection. I'll definitely never get rid of it. It's really unique, and I really love it. So that's the Incidental Tarot, and I apologize, it's out of print. I know it's hard. I hate sharing out of print decks, but this one is part of my tarot collection, and I'll definitely never get rid of it. So that's the Incidental Tarot by Holly DeFount. Okay, so this is another really special one for me. This is Anne of Green Gables Tarot. So this was created by, I believe it was on Kickstarter. It was funded by Kickstarter. This is not, I didn't back the Kickstarter. I bought this afterwards, so I got this from the creator. I don't know the creator's name. The creator goes by Disordered Mind Zines. I'll try to link it. I don't know if this is available anymore. I don't think it is. So again, I apologize for showing decks that are probably not available, but I absolutely adore this. This is such a special deck for me because Anne of Green Gables was such a big part of my growing up and my formative years. I absolutely adore it. I adore the story. So it's a pretty basic guidebook. There's some like pages that the creator like sort of points out like the why and like how the symbolism relates to the tarot cards. But I absolutely adore the backs. I love the green color. I love the braids and her little jaunty hat and her book, of course, because we all know Anne is a bibliophile and a budding writer, and just, just such a huge part of my childhood. Like, I feel this. I feel those swords with Gilbert laying dying. Like, this is a special deck for me, and I connect to it on Tomorrow is Always Fresh with No Mistakes in It. If you know Anne of Green Gables, then you know. If you're not a fan of Anne of Green Gables, this is really not going to mean much to you, but I absolutely adore it. I feel like it was made with all the love that I feel for Anne of Green Gables, and like just anyone who's a fan who grew up with Anne and Diana and Gilbert and Marilla and Matthew. Like, this was made with complete love and respect for them, and I absolutely adore it. It's so beautiful. I will never get rid of this. Like I said, it brings me back to so many really great memories from when I was a kid and when I was growing up, and it really connects me to Anne and her energy and that energy of when I was a kid. And I always considered myself a little different. I was the kid that was like inside reading. Like, I was reading, and like when I stayed homesick from school, like I wouldn't watch TV. I would read like 3 books in one day. I always felt that I was like maybe a little isolated and felt a little different because that wasn't really what all the other kids were doing. I'm sure there were other kids like that. I just didn't know where they were. And so like Anne always talks about kindred spirits. I don't know that I've ever found my kindred spirits when I was that age. So these were my kindred spirits, this, Anne and this, sort of world. So, so this deck is really super special to me. And I will never get rid of it, and it will always be part of my collection. And if you're an Anne of Green Gables fan, you should definitely try to seek this out. Like I said, I don't know if it's available anymore, but I'm so happy that I have it. I don't think I'm going to talk anymore about it because I'm getting emotional, but that's Anne of Green Gables Tarot. Next up is the masterpiece that is the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno. I did a deep dive of this deck, so I'm not going to go talk about it too much because I could talk about it forever, but this is another one of my decks for 2023. It's amazing. It's a masterpiece. It has really nice cardstock. It's I think a little bit bigger than standard tarot size. I may be lying. No, I'm not lying. It's a little bit bigger. So this is Somnia Tarot. It is a photography-based deck. It is genius, masterpiece. Like, I can go on and on and on about this deck, but it's really amazing. The creator is launching an illustrated version of this deck, which looks really interesting. As much as I love this deck, I don't think I'm going to get that one just because I love this in its pure form of photography. So I don't think I would. I'm going to get that deck, but I encourage everyone to check this out and check out that new version, because he's just a genius. He's from around the same location that I'm from. He, you know, where I live now and where I grew up, and so these photographs are, I feel really connected to them because they were taken right around where I live in different places, and not too far from where I live. So it's a very personal deck. I definitely suggest getting the big guidebook. It comes with a little white book, but the big guidebook is full color, and it just really dives into his art and his photography and his personal experiences with, you know, with the sleep disorder that he struggles with. So it's a really beautiful deck. It's amazing, amazing readings, really, really deep, introspective readings. So that's the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno. So this is the Superlunaris Tarot, one of my favorite decks. It's gorgeous. It comes in this flip box with magnetic closure. It comes with this pamphlet. So it's a very, you know, simple, very simple meanings, keywords pamphlet, but this is a Rider-Waite Smith. It follows the Rider-Waite Smith system. This was a Kickstarter that I backed. So yeah, so I believe this was the Kickstarter version. It has these pink gilding on it. It's a matte cardstock. It's really nice cardstock. It makes a really nice sound. If we're into tarot ASMR, this is a great deck for that. Standard tarot size. It's gorgeous. Like I said, Rider-Waite Smith clone, but modernized, diversified, like definitely more diverse and modern. I spoke about this in another video. It definitely gives me postmodern types vibes. Like in some instances, you're like, is this taking place in like in medieval or like Renaissance time, or is this taking place in like some near future world or like some not so near future world? So it's really cool. It gives me post-apocalyptic, you know, world type vibes. So it's pretty awesome. Like I said, matte cardstock, and really nice to shuffle. Just a beautifully produced deck. Gives really clear, powerful readings. When I got this, I used it religiously for a very long time. I still use it. I take it out, you know, certain times of year, but it's a really beautiful deck. I'm not sure if other editions, I feel like there were other editions that were produced. This is the first edition, like Kickstarter. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. You definitely have to check it out, but it's Superlunaris Tarot. And this is the Kickstarter version, but definitely one to check out, you know, especially if there's newer editions coming out. It's really, really beautiful. A great deck. I love it. Never getting rid of this deck. This is one of my favorites, the Superlunaris. Here we have the Tarot of Little Secrets, just a treasure of a little deck. This is by Sam Lofgren and Laura Stamper. So it comes with this little booklet, pretty basic. It has some little thumbnails of the cards. It has an upright reverse, and then it tells you where the little secret, it gives you a hint as to where the little secret is. I did a walkthrough of this deck, so this is back in order. I did put it back in order. These are the backs, which are super cool because they look like a window pane with different trees. It's got this gold foiling. It's really nice cardstock. It's like a little glossy, not really. It's more like a satiny finish. But this deck is super cool because every card contains these little secrets within this. It's sort of like collage art. It was made using different mediums, but there's a little secret hidden, or sometimes there's several little secrets hidden. But this is a really special and unique deck. I got this off of Etsy. I believe, yeah, I got this off of Etsy, and when I just saw it, I was like, this is such a cool idea, and it's such a cool concept, and it is pretty like traditional Rider-Waite Smith, but it's so non-traditional in a way too. But there's a little secret hidden. Like I said, sometimes there's several little secrets hidden in the cards. Like here, there's a little man, and it's like, again, this is one of those that it's so hard to see, but you see him right there at the base of the tree. And so they give you the guidebook gives you little clues into the secrets. So in this one, if you look, there's a bird right there. So I did, like I said, a full walkthrough of this. I'll link it in the cards in case like you're interested in it. It's a great deck, but it's fun to try to, you know, capture the little secrets that are hidden throughout the cards. Sometimes they're not so hidden, but sometimes they really blend in with the artwork. But this is a really fun little deck, really unique, really special. I definitely will never get rid of this one because it's so unique and a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to use, and it just adds like an extra layer with all the little secrets in it. So this is the Tarot of Little Secrets, and I believe it might still be available on, you can definitely check it out on Etsy. Here we have the Lilifer Tarot. Marianne Constantin, Little Darkness, is her name on Instagram. It comes in this little tuck box. It has a little white book. I've definitely spoken about this deck on my channel. It's a little bit smaller than standard tarot size. It's matte cardstock. It's got very nice cardstock. This is a complicated relationship. I did talk about this, I believe, in one of my relationships, in one of my videos, the one about the deck crush, about relationships with tarot. I believe it was that one that I spoke about. And yeah, we have a little complicated relationship because it's a lot. There's a lot going on, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this deck. I had every intentions of doing a deep dive, and then I think I just got completely overwhelmed. Like I was going to do a deck study with this one, and I got completely overwhelmed with all the symbolism, and it was like way too much for me at the time. Like my brain could not handle it. I definitely not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to get rid of it yet. I'm going to hold on to it because I have every intentions of going back to it. At this point, I feel like it's almost like it's not going to beat me type of thing. Like I'm not going to let this deck beat me. It's not going to get me. Like I'm gonna like buckle down and try. So yeah. So I think it's amazing. I think the concept is really amazing. I feel like the symbology in it, it's got a lot of layers. So I think it's a good thing. It's both a good thing and a bad thing for me. So like I said, I got completely overwhelmed by it. But it's really nice cardstock. And again, I think it's brilliantly done. You know, I think it's brilliantly done for what it is. It's so unique. I don't think there's much out there like this. It is definitely unique, you know, and stands alone as a tarot deck, but it's definitely tough. I struggle. So we'll see where that's going to end up. But it's very cool. It's like I said, it's very nicely produced. It's got these awesome colorful backs. It's like a nice size. It's a little bit smaller, nice matte cardstock. So that's the Lilifer Tarot by Little Darkness. Okay, so here we have the Lunalapin Tarot deck. Another one of those entirely cute, ridiculously adorable Rider-Waite Smith clones. I actually bought this off of someone else, so I did buy it secondhand, but it's in perfect condition. So I'm not sure where this one came from because I did buy it off of someone else. So it was used. The guidebook that comes with it is in another language, but it is a Rider-Waite Smith clone, so that's okay. I believe the artist is from Thailand. I could be completely wrong, and I apologize for that. But the guidebook is in another language. But again, you don't need it because it is a Rider-Waite Smith clone. They did come with a certificate of authenticity, which is great. The original Lunalapin Tarot deck, it says 2021, production by Molly Publishing, illustration by, and I'm going to really butcher this name, and I apologize so much in advance, by Kanitsart Samanoparat. So hopefully I didn't totally butcher that, but that is the artist. This deck is the cutest, like literally one of the cutest things I've ever seen. I was so happy to have the opportunity to get it. It's standard tarot size. It's got a really interesting aesthetic because the backs are shiny. If you could see, it's like really catching light. The backs are shiny, but they have the moon phases and they have bunnies, and then they have the zodiac signs. And then, but the other side is matte. So it's really cool. This deck is a really cool aesthetic because the backs are a different like material, which is cool. There are extra cards in this deck, but it is pretty much the cutest deck I've ever seen in my entire life. I literally, like, as soon as I saw that I was able to snap it up, I did. Because it's literally, like I said, pretty much the cutest thing I've ever seen. So it is just bunnies in the Rider-Waite-Smith scenarios. So very traditional. I'm just holding it up so that you can actually see how adorable it is. Like, and I love how the bunny has a cat, like, at its feet. It's just like if bunnies ruled the world. Like, would it be a better world? I feel like it would be if bunnies ruled the world. But it's just the cutest deck ever. And I will never get rid of this because in the springtime, when I want to smile, when I want to be put in a good mood, like, all I got to do is pull this out and pull a card. And I'm like, look, the bunnies, like, even like the tower card, like in this deck, I'm like, oh, it's a tower moment, but there's bunnies. So it's okay. It's going to be okay. Like, I can't. Look at the Emperor. Look how chubby he is. I mean, all the symbology is there. There's just fluffy bunnies in every single card. Like, so I gush and I gush and I gush because I can't. I think it's the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands in this deck that is my absolute favorite. Yeah, I think it's the Five of Wands. Like, I can't. The faces on the bunnies, their facial expressions. So again, I don't often have decks like the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, like, or decks that just feature bunnies, like literally, or an animal, one animal throughout. But this one, I could not. I snapped it up as soon as I saw it available. I believe there's a lot of fakes of this deck that go around, so just be careful when you're looking for this deck because there are a lot of fakes. This deck, I think, gets copied quite a bit, and so yeah, so you definitely don't want to get a counterfeit deck, so just be careful if you are looking for it. But it is the cutest deck, I swear. It is. It just brings a smile to your face, even if you don't like bunnies. You know, but who doesn't like bunnies? Like, they're just so cute and fluffy. But like, look at the magician. Like, he's so powerful. He's a powerful bunny. He has all his tools at his disposal. He's got his traditional as above, so below stance. You know, he's just owning his own power, his own bunny power. Look at the Knight of Wands. Like, he can't even fit on the horse. He has to sit on the horse's head. But he's got his helmet and he's got his wand and he's just riding off into an adventure, and I can't. I'm going to stop now because I literally have to stop. I feel like I should film a walkthrough of this deck more for myself because I will have so much fun doing it. I don't think anyone will watch it, but maybe that'll happen. So this is the extremely adorable Lunalapin Tarot. Okay, so this is the Ember and Aura Tarot, the Awakening Edition by Jamie Richardson. I apologize. I'm pretty sure this deck is out of print now. The creator of this deck, I follow on Instagram, and I believe she had a sort of a different spiritual awakening and kind of decided to go down a different path, and is no longer creating tarot or creating cards or yeah, I don't think she's even using cards anymore. I mean, you can check out her story. Like I said, more power to her. She's kind of embracing a new spiritual path. It's just sad because this is a beautiful deck and I don't think it's in print anymore. It's definitely bigger, sort of oracle size cards. It's gilded in this really nice pink gilding. Again, I'm not even a pink person, but when I saw this deck, I snapped it up because it's gorgeous. I love the artwork. I love the colors in this. To me, this is like it's a very gentle, loving deck, but gives very clear readings. But it's sort of like washed out, sort of watercolor art. The cards are matte. They're a beautiful cardstock. This is one of the first indie decks I think I ever owned. It's not the first, but I think it's one of the first. I've had it for quite some time. It's gorgeous. Like I said, this is the Awakening Edition. I don't think it's in print anymore, but if you like this, I would definitely look into trying to get it or check it out. I don't know, you know, if it's even being sold anymore, but it's a really gentle, and just a really sort of loving energy. It has a really, really loving energy. And the creator does talk about sort of the path that she was on and sort of what led her to create this deck. And it's a really beautiful story. Yeah, that, you know, that she went through in terms of creating this deck. It does have some, just for, you know, for people's knowledge and things, it does have, you know, connotations that do look very Christian. So like this looks like Jesus, and I believe the creator is a Christian. I feel like she still is. I feel like that, you know, that is her faith. You know, but it, to me, like I still use this deck. It doesn't stop me from using this deck because it does have a very gentle energy, a very gentle, loving, compassionate, sort of human, you know, human energy. And I do, like I said, I love the color palette. It's such a soothing color palette. I don't even like pink, like I was saying, but this is watercolor pink. This is sort of very watery and washed out. This deck gives me very, very watery vibes, even though it's not like a water themed deck, or, you know, it's very grounding, but to me, it's got cups energy like throughout the whole deck. And it's a beautiful deck. So I definitely suggest checking it out. It's, like I said, got beautiful cardstock, and it's such a gentle and just a loving deck. So that's the Ember and Aura Tarot. It's the Awakening edition. So this is the Lord of the Rings Tarot. So this is a an independent, like it's not authorized. It was the creator's name is completely escaping me. I definitely will try to link the Etsy shop in the description box because I cannot remember the creator's name. But this is basically fan art. This is her art. It's in order. I put it in order so you can kind of see the color gradients for each suit. So I'll kind of fan it out so you can see it. But this is like what the Insight editions should have been. Like they totally missed the mark on that Lord of the Rings Tarot, and I know some people love it. I'm sorry, but they could have done so much more with this entire gigantic world, you know, that Tolkien built. So much material available for true tarot meanings and things like that. So, but this is a gorgeous Lord of the Rings deck. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is the Lord of the Rings deck that I need to get. Like I said, it's not perfect by any means, but it's certainly closer, like I said, to what it should be, what it should have been. The Lovers, okay. The Lovers, Gimli and Legolas, like I can't, when I saw, this is probably one of those cards that sold me on this deck. Because we all know the Lovers cards are always usually depicted as like a romantic relationship between two people. It doesn't even matter if it's a man or a woman and a man, or a man and a man and a woman. It doesn't matter. It's usually like a romantic type relationship. And so this card like completely just sort of throws that out of the wall, like throws it out and gives you like the ultimate friendship. You know, the ultimate partnership, like having common goals, and then, but that relationship deepening into something more. I don't know. I could go on and on. I'm sorry, but that's like a genius Lovers card. So yeah, so as a fan of Tolkien and the books and the movies and just that world, this definitely, look, Treebeard is the hermit. Like he's been in that forest for so long. Like he hasn't spoken. He has to clear his throat. He hasn't talked, like, because he's, you know, so these choices are just, you know, just amazing. They're just amazing choices when you look at them. So this is the Lord of the Rings deck. In my opinion, Insight Edition should be ashamed of themselves, because they just, they did no justice to, you know, to this world that people love so much and, you know, are so connected to. So this is the Lord of the Rings. Tarot. It is, like I said, I will try to link the creator because I don't remember their name and I apologize. But this is an amazing deck. You can see, so it's not edged, but like you can see sort of the color gradients. So when you put it in order, I kind of love that, like with the suits, you can see the different, the gradients and colors. So the swords, and then the cups are like sort of like a blue, the pentacles are green. The wands are like this sort of like orangey color, and the swords are more of like this cream color. So that's kind of cool, but this is an amazing deck. And like I said, I will link in the description box. I'm not sure if it's still available, but this is the Lord of the Rings deck, and I got it on Etsy. Okay, so this is the Noisy Museum Tarot by L.A. Greenwich. So this is awesome. I think I got this on Make Playing Cards or Game Crafters. I'll try to link again below. But this is an amazing sort of curated art deck with collage included. So it's sort of art that's being repurposed and then put into the tarot deck. So yeah, this is awesome. This is a really cool deck. Again, I was trying to get more into sort of art decks that were a little quirky and a little different. So basically, the creator took sort of pieces of art and then added her own elements to it and sort of put them into different scenes and used different mediums. There's no guidebook, but on her website, you can get access to a guidebook, and it reads like a map, a museum map, which is really cool, the way it's set up. So just really interesting choices. And LA Greenwich, you should definitely follow them on Instagram because they have an amazing Instagram account. They do journaling, collage journaling. Like it's like I'm so envious because I could never do that, but they do the most beautiful collage journals and creations. So yeah, it's a great Instagram account to follow. I highly suggest you check into that. But this deck is super cool, super interesting. I love this card for the High Priestess. Yeah, it's a great deck. Definitely check it out. I'm pretty sure, I think it was, like I said, Make Playing Cards, but if you look up LA Greenwich on Instagram, I believe all the links are there. You can get linked to their site, and then and links to purchasing anything that they've created. I believe there's a few decks that they've created. I could be wrong about that, but I think that there's more than one. But this is the Noisy Museum Tarot by LA Greenwich. It's an awesome deck. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, definitely check it out. Okay, here we have the Tarot aux Ramures Etranges. I have a full walkthrough of this deck, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'll link it in the cards. It comes in a box, but it also comes with this really pretty bag, so I keep it in this bag. The backs are gorgeous. The cards are a little bit bigger than standard tarot. They're matte. They're really pretty, really beautiful cards. This is a gorgeous deck. The creator is French. I put this in the indie category. I did get this on Amazon, but it was Amazon France. It was the French Amazon. So, yeah, so I put this in the indie category because I'm not entirely sure how readily available it is, but I guess it could be considered mass market. But either way, this is the Tarot aux Ramures Etranges. It sort of loosely translates to strange antlers. It's definitely earthy. It's got that forest feel. It definitely is unique. You know, the artwork is this watercolor, sort of, it's just beautiful. There's a lot of nudity, but it's not gratuitous in any way. It definitely fits in with sort of that carefree, like living in the forest, like sort of primeval, primordial feel of just being naked, and just, being free. And so yeah, so it's a gorgeous deck. Again, I did a full walkthrough of this when I got it because I was so excited about it. So I will link that in the cards. So if anyone's interested in seeing the full deck, if they haven't seen this deck, it's absolutely stunning. I highly recommend you check it out. It's got a really beautiful energy. So that's the Tarot aux Ramures Etranges. So I wonder what deck this is in this cute little squirrel bag that is created by Krista at Crochet Witch Wears. She's Crochet Witch Tarot on Instagram. No, she's Crochet Witch Tarot on YouTube. Crochet Witch Wears on Instagram, I believe. So I've definitely linked this before. I will link it again because she makes the most adorable tarot bags. They're nice and sturdy. So this, of course, houses my Oak, Ash, and Thorn. There couldn't be a more perfect bag created for this deck. I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with this deck. It is pretty much the only full animal tarot deck that I own. I don't use animal tarot decks. I've said it before. This is the one for me. If I'm going to go all animal in my decks, it's definitely going to be this deck. It is absolutely stunning. Created by Stephanie Burrows, and Adam Ohlers is the artist. He just creates stunning artwork. He is a master artist. They also created Smoke, Ash, and Embers, which I do not have because I don't really work with dragon energy. I'm not really connected to that, but it is another gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous deck. But yeah, this one's a treasure. The cardstock is amazing. It's pretty thick and matte, so the deck is pretty chunky. I do not riffle shuffle this deck because I don't want to damage it. I'm a little precious with this deck. Though I have to admit the white cardstock like literally scares me. It's like when I wear a white shirt, I feel the same way. But this deck is a absolute dream, treasure, masterpiece. I'm sure it's been seen on dozens and dozens and thousands of YouTube channels because it's just amazing. It photographs like a dream because it is so beautiful. It's so earthy, it's just amazing. Like this sort of forest, energy. It has a very pagan feel to it. Like look at the Emperor. It just has a very pagan feel to it, even though this is just, it's an animal deck. Just the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, that sort of, it gives me very druid vibes. It's, it's definitely has that type of energy, at least for me. So it's gorgeous. There's not much else I can say about it. It's such a gorgeous deck. And I believe they have it in a mini version now, a mini size, like a travel size, which would be awesome to take with you. If you love this deck, then I feel like this is one that you use often. You should definitely get it in the little mini version. So that is the much beloved Oak, Ash, and Thorn in my much beloved squirrel bag. Here we have the Lunalapin Tarot. This is by L.S. Grania. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the last name right, but that's how it's spelled. She's at Clary Sage Moon on Instagram. So this is a simply gorgeous deck. It's linen cardstock. I believe I got the Game Crafter. I think it's on Make Playing Cards and Game Crafter, and I think that this is the Game Crafter edition. It's got linen cardstock. It's a quintessential spring deck for me. It has very spring vibes. It's just gorgeous. It's so earthy to me. It's definitely a grounded deck. It has that type of energy. It's just gorgeous. It's such a beautiful deck. I've had this deck for quite a while. Yeah, I got it quite a while. I hadn't heard much about it at that time. I feel like more people have caught on and have bought it because it's just so beautiful. It's got such beautiful cardstock. It's, standard tarot size, really really great to shuffle. It gives a really good shuffle. But it's just beautiful. It's just a beautifully produced, and it has just a beautiful energy to it. And like I said, it's definitely sort of a quintessential sort of winter into spring deck for me. And it has such a gentle energy to it, but it gives really definitely clear readings. It's definitely like a Rider-Waite Smith clone. It's definitely following that system, but it definitely has its own energy and feeling, and aesthetic, of course. But yeah, it's a little pippish. Again, like I don't typically read pips, but to me this is not really, it's not really a true pip deck. I feel like it's a little bit more than that. Yeah, it's just, I love it. It's definitely one of those decks that being pippish, I don't really mind. It's like the Pagan Otherworlds. Like the pippish feeling, it doesn't, I don't focus on it that much, but you can see it's not really like 100% pip deck. Like some of the cards are, but it's okay. It definitely doesn't bother me, but I just love this deck. It's so beautiful. Lunalapin Tarot, definitely one, you know, pulling out for spring. Next up, we have this bad boy, the Terra Volatile. I waited a very long time to get this deck because it was out of stock. When I finally decided to pull the trigger on it, it was out of stock, and I waited a long time. All things change, and we change with them. I can't even talk about this deck because I feel like it's one that I haven't even started working with. There's extra cards. These are the extra cards that I pulled out. So there's a bunch of extra cards. There's an entire extra suit in this deck. I'm pretty sure most people know about this deck. It's gorgeous. It has really, really, really nice cardstock. Like it fans, it's smooth. It's standard tarot size. I think it's linen. I'm pretty sure it's linen. I have a hard time sometimes with this linen stuff, but I think it's linen. But yeah, this is still in order because I haven't worked with this yet. This is one of those that is going to be, I believe, part of my ancestor practice. But this one packs a powerful punch, and yeah, I can't wait to start using it. It's gorgeous. But I definitely think that this is going to be one for ancestor work for me. It's definitely giving me those vibes. I look forward to sort of exploring it with the extra suit that's with this. It's the suit of vessels, I believe, is the extra one. It does not come with a guidebook. There's like, you can go to if you go to their website, you can get, symbology and meanings and interpretations and things, but I feel like there is a guidebook that you can purchase, which I most likely will end up doing. But yeah, this is just a beautiful, beautiful deck. It's a masterpiece in my mind. This is one of those that I'm going to definitely need to take some time with. I look forward to getting to know it as I sort of dive deeper into this ancestral tarot practice. It has the death and the rebirth. I kept them both in there. So they're both death cards. There's a lot of options in this deck, which is very neat. But I kept them both in there just because I see the death card as being both. Just sort of having sort of the, like I don't want to say polar opposites, but having that dichotomy. That's the word I'm looking for, dichotomy. So I kept them both in there. But there's some choices. There's definitely like a few different there's a different Fool cards, and there's a different, this is the Temptation. So there's a lot of different options in here. You can customize this deck, which is cool. It's very neat, but it's a gorgeous deck. I so look forward to getting, getting to know it more, just diving into the symbolism and everything like that. This is a great deck, and I waited a long time to get it because I wasn't entirely sure. And again, this is another one I think that I needed to be ready for it. I needed it at a specific time of my life, and that specific time is now. So I'm super excited about it, that I finally have it. That's the Terra Volatile. So this is the Magical Nature Tarot by the Sync Spirit Collective. I just did a full walkthrough of this deck, so I'm not going to go too into it, but this is gorgeous. It was created using plants and herbs. The cardstock is an Echo Herbage cardstock. It's a new kind of cardstock. I absolutely adore it. It's like nothing I have, but I love it. I love the shuffle. It's a dream. It feels so nice in the hands. It smells like rosemary. This is a sensory experience, this deck, I have to tell you, but it is absolutely beautiful. It is so deep and introspective, and the creators of this deck host a Zoom, I believe it's monthly, that like dives deep with using this deck and doing readings and using it in spreads. So that it's really cool. It's something definitely to check out. There's a lot. They're working on a lot of different things. The creators of this, they just put a poll up on their Instagram on like if we want a guidebook or a workbook. I voted for a workbook personally because I feel like there's a lot of work that can be done with this deck. But yeah, this is super earthy, super grounding. When I need to reground myself, this is the deck that I've definitely been pulling. When I sort of feel like I'm untethered from the earth and I just don't feel like myself, this is the deck I pull out because it's super grounding. It's gentle but confronting. It's all the best things that a deck should be. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Again, the cardstock is a dream. I love it. So that is the Magical Nature Tarot. All right, so we're getting down to the last few decks. So this is the Practical Magic Inner Witch Tarot. This was a Kickstarter. I literally, again, just did a walkthrough of this deck and an unboxing. It's a gorgeous deck by Grounded by the Moon. He also did Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle. This is still in order because I literally just got this, but this is a very minimalistic tarot deck using, mostly just symbols, like with this very ink black background. So they really pop, like the colors really pop. It's amazing. There's just a lot to dig into here. You wouldn't think there is, but there is. And the guidebook really helps with that. But this is a really beautiful deck. It's beautifully produced. It has the gold edging, gold foil like edging. And yeah, it's a really, really nice deck. I don't have the Oracle just because I don't use Oracle that much, but I know the Oracle will pair beautifully with this deck. So yeah, so this is a really beautiful deck. I'm really glad that I backed it on Kickstarter. It's, definitely witchy, and I feel like I'm definitely going to use this, around the Samhain season. This is definitely going to be one of those decks that I pull out around the Samhain season. So it has really nice matte cardstock. There's Sabbat cards. So the 8 Sabbats, there's cards for each of them. There's a ton of spreads included in the guidebook, and then there's spread cards. There's so many, which is amazing. So yeah, so it's just a gorgeous deck. I look forward to getting to know it more. I look forward to using it around, like I said, around that Samhain season. So that is the Practical Magic Inner Witch Tarot. All right, so this is the Moonchild Tarot, another very familiar deck to many people. It comes in this huge box because it has a huge book and it is a huge deck. This is written and illustrated by Danielle Noel. It has a really chunky, awesome guidebook. This is one of the decks I chose for my decks for 2023 as well. This is a secondhand copy. I bought this off of someone who was selling it on YouTube. So it is a secondhand copy, but it's in perfect condition. It's the only Danielle Noel deck that I own. It's really the only one that I felt that I would connect to. And I was right. It's definitely got a earthy but cosmic energy. I love that. I definitely was not drawn to use the Star Child. I wasn't drawn to that one at all, but the Moonchild, it took me quite a while to get this one. I did, like I said, buy it secondhand. So, and it was only like at the end of last year. So this is very, still pretty new to my collection, but I'm really enjoying using it, getting to know it. To me, it has kind of summery vibes, because it has a lot of like desert imagery. I feel like it's very, I don't know, I think like hot and dry and like that kind of, atmosphere. So yeah, so I definitely think I'm going to be using this in the summer months. I feel like this will be a great summer deck to use. I've been pairing it with my new Oracle deck, which has been working out great. They go so well together. So this is great. I really look forward to getting to know this, more, because it is fairly new still, but I know it's a well-known deck and I know a lot of people use it. So that's the Moonchild Tarot by Danielle Noel. Okay, so these are 2 bonus decks. I didn't really know where to put them because I believe they were mass market, but they are completely out of print now. So these are just sort of like 2 bonus decks, the Incidental Tarot and the Fairy Wicca Tarot. I got both of these. One of these was a gift, a beautiful, lovely gift from a fellow Tarot Tube member of our community, and this I purchased off of a Tarot Tube member of our community. So yeah, so I am really excited to dig more into this. I have the big book that goes with this, the Fairy Wicca book. So this is going to be like a study for me. The Incidental Tarot I've just chose as one of my 2023 decks as well, just because I'm so excited to have it. So these are sort of bonus decks. They're out of print. So I don't really want to flip through them. I hate showing out of print decks, but they're not really independent and they're not mass market anymore because they're not in print. So that's it for my tarot deck collection. Those are all my independent decks. Actually, I'm lying. I forgot the Darkness of Light because it's over there on my couch, because I use the Darkness of Light tarot like pretty much every day. That's my ancestor deck right now. I love that deck. I'm not going to go and grab it, mostly because I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of hearing myself talk. So we're going to wrap up this video. Please like it. If you like it and you're not subscribed already, please subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you have these decks, or, you know, if you've been going through your collection, how many decks do you have? Like, have you actually taken stock of that lately? And part 3 will be the Oracle decks. It might have to be broken into 2 videos. We'll see. But next up will definitely be the Oracle decks. So yeah, so thanks so much. If you made it to the end, I congratulate you. Now go get yourself something to eat and drink. I know I'm parched, so I'm going to go hydrate, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.